Let me just say, Neil, I am honored, and when you ask me to do this, there's a part in my brain, like a lot of us, that says I'm not good enough to do this, and I just said, shut up, And what I do with that, when that noise starts chattering, I just say, prove it to me, show me the evidence, and that basically shuts that chatter down, and that it's been a great thing that works for me. So.
Well, that's great. I'd like to talk more about that as we cruise along here. You're what I refer to as a legend agent.
Thank you.
And then in the best way. It's an agent that does high production year after year after year. You're not like one of these one time a year wonder where they do something once or maybe twice and then never duplicate it. How many years in the business now?
32. I started when I was 6.
Good job. Good job. I understand that. Yeah. Okay. So Sylvia's saying hello to you.
Hey, Sylvia.
That's great. You're legend agents, both of you. There are others, I can't see them. But those are people that do lots and lots of transactions, follow the systems for the most part. They never do 100% of the system. It's just not possible, but they get as close as they can, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So, Kathy, the last time I saw you, you were in the front row at a Mike Ferry event over here I think we were in Anaheim.
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. And you actually live in the Midwest, correct?
I live in Omaha, Nebraska. Yes.
Omaha, Nebraska. You and Berkshire Hathaway.
Yes.
Okay, good. Do you happen to live down the street from him, by the way?
I do not. I do know where he lives. I have been at dinner where he was at the restaurant. And I went over to approach him, and of course his security said, "No, you're not." And you're like, well, okay. So yeah, but he lives in a very modest home. He just recently got security on his house. Yeah, I mean, he just was kind of like
inside plumbing.
And yes, exactly. We do have that here.
Yeah, it's good to hear. It's good to hear. So, Kathy, 32 years in the business. Last year, you did about how many transactions?
Yes, last year was way off. So I was closer to that. I mean, I'm down. I was closer to that 25 mark.
Okay.
And so part of it is, the challenge that I have is, like Sylvia, we have a great life. We can do basically anything we want to. It's all a mindset shift that has to happen. And, staying connected to those goals. And in my mastermind group, I am in charge of the month of January, and it's about mindset. And we were talking about, you write the business plan and you know what you want to do and you know what you want to attain. How do you connect the dots? And we said, we've heard it 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. Read your business plan. Look at your goals every day, do your affirmations, do your visualization. And it's all about all of us getting back to the basics to do those things again. Because Neil, in my area, I'm not as, productive as Deb Cizik, but again, among my friends, I have a great lifestyle. I can do anything and go anywhere. And, it's all
that becomes the complacency issue at some point, correct?
Absolutely.
I mean, the money you've earned over the years in Omaha, Nebraska.
Absolutely.
What's the average sales price there?
Let's probably say 285, 300.
Yeah. And $300,000 gets you a pretty nice house, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I live in a house right now that's probably worth $900,000 in this area. And it's a 5-bedroom, 6-bath, 3-car garage with a 6,000 square feet on a lake.
Wow.
Not a bad place.
Well, you can't get half of that. And no, a third of that in Irvine on a lake. And wouldn't be 6,000 square feet either.
Right.
Wow, that's fantastic. Good for you. So that then the complacency sets in, but even still doing the kind of business that you do today, does it come from past client sphere? You working expires? Where's your business come from there?
My business in the last couple of years has come from past client centers of influence.
Okay.
And I'm excited about this year because I love expired listings.
Wow.
I love them because of the Mike Ferry organization, we have a plan. And you kind of go in there like the white knight on a horse coming in, and you're the savior because most agents don't have a clue as to what to do. And you've got this plan that happens, and the people are like, oh, thank you for having a plan and knowing what it is that you're going to do.
So let me ask you something on that note, because everybody's kind of like, okay, what's the plan? What's the plan? What's the plan? So I'd like you to lay out quickly what the plan is, and then do you practice the plan so that when you implement it, it's crisp, it's clear, it's concise?
Well, and again, Neil, we haven't had to do it for the last couple of years,
Well,
you know. So it's obviously, even in this market, it's getting them to price it right. That's 90% of our marketing right there.
okay.
And so, you know, we price the home right, and then you start the maximum exposure, whether it's calling around the house, whether it's talking to your past clients about it, whether it's, and again, if it's priced right in our market, it'll be gone in 6 days.
Okay.
Not, we got to, you know, and I say to them, Neil, we put your house on the market. So let's say there's pushback on the price because of what happened. Okay, if we don't have this thing sold in 6 days, we're going to have another discussion, and we're going to have to reprice it because you're part of the 66% of my market that is overpriced. And, you know, do you want to be in Texas by, you know, go back to whatever their motivation is?
Right, to their goals. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so what we do is, you know, again, it's about the pricing, and it's just the years of experience. I was talking to someone last night, and, you know, one of your questions was, what's your special power? And he said, it's confident communication.
Ah,
And so I come in, and typically after I'm done with my presentation, you know, I'll say, do you have any questions? And they're like, no, not at all. And I don't know how I do this, but I just come in with a confidence, and maybe it's, you know, the years of affirmations, maybe it's hanging out with the Mike Ferry people, but you just kind of have the attitude that you don't hire me, you're an idiot.
I like that.
Now, I never say that, but that's what's running in
But
my
it, it comes across, look, it comes across in your tonality, it comes across in your body language. It came across when you came on the Zoom channel, you came across as a confident presenter, and a confident real estate agent. So how, and we use the script, you know, my job is to study prices, you know, every day, etc. How much time do you study either physically going and previewing property, or working on the computers, or looking at your the statistics?
Well, my Mike Ferry coach has me every Monday. We run the stats as to how many houses came on the market in the last week, how many went under contract, how many active we have, how many have been on the market over 30 days. So
Okay.
I have a degree in engineering, so numbers make a lot of sense to me.
Wait. You're an analytical?
Go figure.
I think you're an analytical with an expressive background.
Thank you. I had somebody say to me, you're not an analytical, you're an expressive. I'm like, no, I am analytical. And Neil, you put me under pressure, you get the driver mode that kicks in. So, you know, I work on a little bit of flexibility and trying to be, Robert, I am versatile. Thank you. Yep. That's what I work on.
Got it. Absolutely.
So
Good stuff. So go ahead.
Again, we haven't had to study the market and prices, you know, so it's now, let's go back to that. And we didn't have even inventory to go preview. So now it's going back to those basics of, we're going to study the market, we're going to preview the homes, and that totally sets you apart, because you can say, Have you been to the house down the street? No. Well, I have. I was there. It's da 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 da. It's nicer. It's not as nice. It's the same, whatever. And that starts to elevate you as the market expert because they know you're doing your homework. You're just not coming in.
Right. Right. Which is what most agents do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But Neil, why should I have to grind and do all this kind of stuff? I've been in the business 10, 12 years. Now
Because that's not enough.
You've been in there 32 years and you have to go with the ups and downs. So you speak about really versatile, gigantically, as the market's downshifted and things have to slow down. And so you slow down to speed up. You're cranking right now. You're previewing. Sorry, go ahead.
You've got to, and sorry to interrupt you, but you've got to do things that set you apart from your competition.
Right.
Because they're going to compete with giving them their price, giving them their commission, telling them what they want to hear. I'm not your yes person. I'm going to tell you what the market's doing, and either accept it and hire me and let's go, or there's a possibility you don't accept it and we'll see you, the next time around.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And again, there are some that, I say, this is the price that's going to cause it to sell. And Sylvia, you've experienced this. You tell them this is the price, they hire somebody else who buys the listing and it sells. And you start to doubt yourself and question. And it's like, we're all going to have the blips. It's all going to happen. We don't get 100% of what we do. You just got to remember, okay, that was part of the 14% that I didn't get this year. Okay, next.
Exactly. It's a great attitude. And it's an attitude we have to have in this market, correct?
Absolutely. No doubt.
Good stuff. So what do you do to, you're talking about, we go back to the beginning of the conversation. January is your month for your mastermind group to talk about mindset. What are you doing? What are you suggesting to your group for mindset?
Well, what we have done is we had them all share their vision boards.
Okay.
We talked about on our call with Thinking Big with Mike. He talked about, identify, I'm going to do something big in 2023, but I'm not going to use today's money. What is that? And is that the possibility of the ultimate vacation? What does that look like? Is it, buying some art, buying something that you wouldn't typically buy, fund a college for someone, and that's important to you. Make a sizable donation that you can commit to 3 to 4 years in your community. What if you committed to this being your biggest listing year ever? What does that look like? So that was one of the conversations that we had yesterday. And with our 11 people, it's and they're all obviously Mike Ferry trained agents, but they're all looking at things differently. Like one of them is, she's looking at to take off 2 months next year. And Maverick, my coach, just said, okay, let's take the 12-month business plan. Let's make it into 10 months. And I said to her, is that what you're going to do? She goes, no, I already travel enough. She says, I'm going to take the 10-month plan, figure out how to get it done in 8. And so that's the part I love about the Mike Ferry organization is you think you reached here and somebody's doing something a little better that you're like, I could do that. That sounds enticing to me. Another one of my wants to buy a mobile home park. I have no interest in buying a mobile home park, but I will support her in what it is that she wants to do. And so in our mastermind, we have one person that's in charge of the month, and you're in charge of the book and what actually happens this month. So again, mine is mindset. So I had him, we're listening to the book. Let me get it here. And it's on Audible because we know a lot of us are busy. And it's called Dream Big by Napoleon Hill. And it's just a compilation of a variety of his talks to listen to. And so we have 12 books a year. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get through them. Again, we are no way near being perfect. But I got to add, Neil, last year I did a triathlon, my first one ever.
Go, girl.
And I finished. And
Whoa.
ended up third in my age group. And by the way, in 2 months, thank you. In 2 months, I'll be 67 years old. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's very cool.
So with that being said is, my training was not perfect every day. There's some days I showed up, some days I didn't show up, some days I was mental, some days but it got me to the point of being able to do the triathlon and complete it in the time that I had allocated for it. And it was one of those days, Neil, that when you're working out, you have days that everything's a well-oiled machine. And then you have other days where nothing is going right. That was that day. And I'm just like, okay, we're just going to get through it. And you just plod one step at a time. And it's no different than our business. You have days where you're making calls, and on that second call, you've booked an appointment and you're good to go and life is phenomenal. And you have some days you can't get your 25 contacts done in 5 hours because nobody's answering the phone, but you still stay at it and keep doing it.
Fantastic. Great advice. That's really cool. Okay. So 32 years ago, when you got started in the business, how did you were working as an engineer?
And I decided that I wanted to, I had somebody say to me, you'd be a great realtor. And I said, I don't want to work nights and weekends. And a year later, I jumped in. I quit my job and I jumped in and did it. 3 years later, I was at a brokerage. My brokerage was a Coldwell Banker, and 2 people had just come back from the elite retreat. And they said, we've met somebody that we think would be of interest to you. And I'm like, okay. His name is Mike Ferry. And I'm like, okay. And they said, we'll get you information about it. Well, they didn't. So I started doing my own little research, and I went out to Denver. And I said, okay, if I'm going to come to this action retreat, action workshop, what do I need to do? Well, you need to hang out with a really good agent. Okay, who's the best in the room? See that gal over there in red? That's Karen Bernardi. You can go. And I walked up and said, I want to be part of your group. She said, you're the last person. So Mike's talking about a business plan. And I'm like, what in the world? A business plan? What's he talking about? Prospecting? What is that? I mean, I was so clueless with all of this. And once I did the action workshop, it's like, this makes sense to me, because it wasn't about spending a ton of money, and it wasn't about doing necessary stuff. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do what I need to do. And I signed up for coaching immediately. And that at that point, it was business planning. And so, it was the it was the entry level of coaching. And we didn't have any brokers like yourself that were doing anything remotely. So, you come back and you're going to put the headset on and you're going to start prospecting. There was a lot of kickback with regards to that, but it made such a difference in my life. And before we end tonight, I want to read you something that I wrote about Mike in a question that I was asked, and because it'll just sum it all up. So then Mike started the initial one-on-one, we called him the original Dirty Dozen, because there was 12 of them. And I signed up to be in the second group. I had Mike as my coach at the time. And then I've been in coaching ever since. I did join Keller Williams, and I left Mike's coaching for a short period of time, felt that wasn't as strong as what I needed. And, Mike invited me back, and I came back. I came running back to be part of it. So the business for you in the beginning, expired, for sale by owners, just listed, just sold. Tell me where it came from. In the very beginning, before I was with Mike, it was obviously past, it was people. I mean, it was, you're having open houses on HUD houses because you don't know any different. And you know that there's a script out there somewhere, but nobody tells you what the script is and how to do it. And so you're just, you're taking phone duty. I mean, you're doing everything passive to try and make a living versus being proactive to get out there and make it happen. So once I was introduced to Mike, it was about calling. Most of my business to this day has come from expireds, because I love expireds, and it's an attitude.
Right.
It's an attitude.
Clearly, I sense it. Yeah,
And
there's
I
not
will-
a lot of people that say I love expireds.
I will tell you that. So I made a focused effort to work on my past clients. And I will say, I have some past clients I have not talked to in 10 years.
Ouch.
10 years. Ouch, exactly. And, you know, it's a gold mine, and it will change what my business. Sometimes you got to have a not so good year to reevaluate what Mike is telling you to do. And so that's what happened last year. And Maverick and I, you know, had a script that helped me, you know, just call them and chat with them. And every one of them was receptive and open and available for me to talk to. And so now this is going to be a phenomenal year, because we made that introduction with the apology. And now I can call them and start asking them for business.
And start over from scratch.
Mhm.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You bet. So remind me, what was the superpower that you said that you were?
Confident communication is what I'm being
There it
told.
is. Yeah, confident communication. Good stuff. Okay, questions for Kathy. Any questions this morning for Kathy? We have, oh my gosh, we had almost 70 people on today. Good stuff. Questions for Kathy. Raise your hand or push a button so I can see you. Sylvia, go ahead.
What would be 2 or 3 things that you would say, this is how you get to 20 deals?
Robert can barely hear you.
Did my speaker go away?
Yes, it did. Now
Okay.
you're good.
So for an agent starting out today, Kathy, because you've been around for 32 years, you've obviously built up a great business. What would be the 2 or 3 things that you would tell an agent starting out today is do these in order to start getting to 10 deals, 15 deals?
You know, Robert, that's a great question. And one of the things is Mike has the system in place where he says, you know, get your database put together, start calling them, and start previewing property. I mean, there is a written formula to do that, and it's a matter of just following the formula. It worked for me. It worked for, I mean, why do we try and reinvent the wheel? I've done that for 25 years. It's ridiculous. And, you know, there's a formula, and all you got to do is just follow it. What a concept. So I'm not trying to be evasive as to what I answer you, but, you know, Neil, I know you've shared this with the group that when you're a brand new agent or you want to jumpstart or whatever the case, there is that list of, you know, it's previewing properties, it's making the calls to your Christmas card list, it's following the script. I mean, there's a written plan how to jumpstart your production.
No, that's for sure. And Robert's looking for what you do because nobody does what we suggest. So we figure we're just looking for another answer.
That's it. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry to burst your bubble, there, Robert. You know,
it's not what I was looking for, Kathy, but thanks anyways.
All right, good job. Sylvia, you had your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to speak to Kathy. It's lovely to see her and thank her for sharing, and hope to see her next week.
absolutely. I will be there. Definitely.
My Mike Ferry's,
All right.
one of my Mike Ferry friends.
Always, you know, this is what I tell people. It's like a family reunion with all the people that you love.
Huh?
And I love going to
For
these
sure.
things, seeing
For
them
sure.
and catching up. And I call Mike my mental chiropractor, because he helps me get my head screwed back on straight and move forward. And you get re-jazzed with the motivation, the accountability. You hear what your friends are doing and you're like, I could do that, or some version of that. And it just, for me, I come back, I'm just inspired, regenerated, refocused. And that's why, you know, I said in my business plan this year, I only saw Mike 3 times this year, and I could feel it by December.
Yeah.
And I thought, do I go in December and then go in January again? It's like, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you? So in the business plan, it's to see Mike 4 times this year, just because of what's been created.
Yeah.
Smart, very smart. Good stuff. Thank you, Kathy.
Of course.
Good question. Tyrone, you had a question?
Question in the chat box that said.
One second, Robert.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, 1 second. Tyrone?
I have a question.
Hold on, Tyrone.
Kathy, thank you for being here. I really appreciate your insight and information here. It's a wealth of knowledge here. You mentioned earlier that sometimes when you get in those little slumps, you find different ways of some way or how to self-talk or motivation to get yourself back on track. What are some of the other tools that you have in place that help you do that?
Well, part of it is to identify, as Mike has talked about, identify the slump and identify when you want to get out of it, because it's all about what's happening up here. And so it goes back to, Tyrone, back to the affirmations. It goes back to the visualization. It's reaching out to, I've got I have a lot of friends because I've lived in my community all my life, but I have a real tight knit group that they're not my yes people. They're my, what in the world are you doing type of people. What are you thinking? You're better than this. So, we maybe have a little, let me just say it, come to Jesus discussion on some things with regards to that. It could be you reach out to your broker. I mean, Neil's a great person. Sometimes you just got to talk to somebody and have them say, you're better than this. You know what it is you need to do. Tell me what you're going to do. Get back on the horse. Let's go. So the conversation I had on Tuesday was with someone that said, this is like a small fire that we have growing inside of us. And when you build a fire, you just don't put the kindling in and light it and walk away. You keep stoking it. You poke at it periodically. You add more wood. You add more kindling. You poke at it some more to get it going. That's what this is about. Because I have the tendency, I write the business plan and it's going in the desk drawer and that's the end of it. Well, Neil, how many times have we heard Mike say, take it out every day, take it out every week? And it's like, oh, wow, there's a concept I've never heard in my entire life. So
Yeah, you get to the business plan in November, you pull it out, you look at it and say, darn it, I forgot to do that.
well, and Tyrone, if those things didn't work, Mike's got, he's committed to doing a couple videos a week. I mean, you can find him all over YouTube. You can, it might be reading some quotes out of one of your favorite books. It could be talking to your BFF that sets you straight. I mean, you got to find the tools as to what they are, because sometimes the screwdriver is going to work better than the hammer did.
Yeah, some people only have a hammer in their toolkit.
Right.
Great job. Thanks, Kathy. Really good. So we got David. Let's see. David Hasword. David asked, what's the best way to approach expired listings?
For me, it's always been the phone.
Okay. So clearly, just using the script as it's designed, that's that same script that we all have in the book.
I might ask an additional question to them of, what are your plans for the home? Because that opens up the conversation of, we're going to relist it, we're going to stay here, we're going to rent it. And then I know what direction to take them down. But that's the only question that I add to find out if I can't get them to talk.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Good stuff. We have Ray. Did you have a question?
Yes.
Or Martin?
The superpower for Kathy is confident communication. What
Correct.
does that sound like?
It sounds like what you're listening to.
What
Mark,
does it look like to the client, to the prospect,
the same
when
thing.
you do it?
The same thing you got here. I don't know how I do it, but it's a confidence that I have. It's a superpower. I don't know how I got it. I don't know how I've had it, but I've developed it, and it's just having that confidence of knowing you are the best agent for the job. They need me to help them get to their end result. And I'm going to do what I have to help them. And it comes back to that, the challenge we have when you hang out with Mike Ferry people, you think every agent is like a Mike Ferry agent, and they're not. I mean, Neil, isn't it only 8% last year did 4 deals or more, and if you only did 4 deals or more in the Mike Ferry organization, we'd be like, hopefully you
A
did
lot
them.
of spitting going on.
Well, you'd hope you did them in the first month and you retired for 11 months, and so that's what the group does, is it pushes us to be better. And if you feel that you don't have that confident communication, then you challenge yourself to develop it, to do the research, to have a call with Neil to say, what do I need to change? I mean, I've got 4 role play partners. Believe you me, they're challenging me on my confident communication, because I think I'm pretty confident, but you also got to have those people that don't always agree with you on stuff, and they're going to push you to become the best that you can possibly be.
Got it. Perfect. Hey, so Tim in our Covina office asked a question. What's your objection handler, or how do you handle, I'm going to just rent it out? So that you've asked your questions, you know what, we've decided to rent it out. How would you approach that?
So I would obviously you repeat and
Affirm.
repeat and approve, and say, oh, so I understand that you're going to rent it out. So let me ask you this. Are you going to rent it out because that's the best method for you, or is it because you're sick of the process? I got to dig a little bit more to find out. I make the assumption they're playing possum on me, and I need to figure out. I need more information. Help me understand. For years and years and years, my friends called me nosy. Now they call me curious, and so I need to know. Can I help you? Because there are some people I cannot help, and to recognize that
Got
as
it.
to what that is.
Kathy, great stuff. Other
Can you say
questions?
that again, Kathy? Are you sick? What led to the I'm sick of the or are you sick of the process? You're going to rent it out? You're going to sell it? You're going to stay in it, or are you just sick of the process?
No, what I say is, what are your plans for the home? And they say, we're going to rent it out. Oh, so you're going to rent it out. Well, let me ask you this. Are you renting it because that's what you really wanted to do? It's the best decision for you, or because you were sick of the process and you didn't get it sold?
Yeah, bravo. That's good.
Thank you. But doesn't it, Fred, you're just trying to find out, where are they coming from? And just ask them another question to so they say they're going to rent it out. Don't you have a question in your brain of why? Why would you do that in this market? And understand, where are they coming from? And so you just ask another, and obviously if you say why, that's a little controversial. So you got to tone it back a little bit to just say, help me understand what's causing you to make that decision. Help me understand, is that the best method for you and your family? Help me understand.
What you're saying is, of all the things you could possibly do, how could you make that decision? But you can't say those words.
Exactly. And do you really want to be a landlord? Are you familiar with what has to happen with being a landlord? And part of it comes is that education to them as well. Because sometimes they don't know what they're getting into. They watch a little HGTV and they see, we can, a couple decides at 8 o'clock they're going to build a deck, and by 8:30 the deck is done and they're still happily married. That doesn't happen at times.
Not very often. That's great. Fantastic. Other questions of Kathy? Other ideas? I can't see all the pages, so reach out, help me out.
So while we're looking, Neil, let me read to you what I wrote. And the question was, who is the most influential person in your life aside from your parents? I said, a dark-haired, strong, motivational speaker that saw my potential as a leader, whose small-town dreams could become a reality. He taught me the power of my mind and how big I could dream, how far I could go, and nothing was impossible. He challenged me and my abilities, and I've been following his teaching for many years and still do.
Very well written, very well said. And it's the truth for so many of us.
Absolutely.
The dark hair part.
For over 25 years. So it started out as
But he still has hair. It's more than I can say. Kathy, would you mind sharing that with me?
I'll be happy to. Yep,
Thank
I'll
you.
send it to you.
Appreciate it. Now
Yep.
that's beautiful. Fantastic. Okay, so Kathy, first of all, everybody unmute yourselves, unmute yourselves. Let's give her a big round of applause. Woo! All right, good job, good job, good job.
Thank you.
Kathy.
It's truly an honor to be here. And, you know, part of this is part of that journey where you think, okay, maybe I'm not that good to be on this, but it's like, yeah,
Kathy,
that's only the stuff that's
Kathy,
rattling around in my head. So
You've shared so much. You're still doing so much. And you're cruising at a cool number. And as you ramp up your past client and steer stuff that you're doing and get some more expireds, you know, you're back on track.
absolutely.
Look, in life,
I think that's part of
Go
it
ahead.
is to say that happens to all, you know, to some
it's
of us.
the ebb and,
We
it's
don't
the
always
ebb and
hear
flow
about
of life. Absolutely, the ebb and flow in life. Kathy, I always say, you're either an example or you're a warning. You are an example.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very good. Okay, so what we do right now, I don't know if you have a hard stop or not, but if you do, then thank you again for.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
But we're gonna go around the
It's my day
room now. Sorry?
It's my day off, remember?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, maybe you want to go ride a horse or something. I don't know. What do you do in Omaha?
No, believe it or not, we do have cars,
See, I've been hanging around Mike Ferry way too much.
cars and electricity and indoor plumbing. So
And indoor plumbing. Good job. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of go around the room and people share, agents share what they learned from you today. And it's kind of interesting that different people get different things. So you're welcome to hang around.
I'd love to. I'd love
okay.
to.
Good stuff.
Kathy, I'd like to
Okay.
start.
So what did we learn today? Fred, you want to start?
I do. Well, number one, you changed my script with the expireds. Tell me, do you leave any messages, or are you relentless till you actually get a live person on the phone with the expireds? Because there was 712 on January 1st. I've gotten through the list once. I haven't had one call back, but obviously I'm leaving messages that are at the radius of my work location. But that is so powerful. Help me understand. And what you said about, so what are your plans for the home? Are you going to rent it? Are you going to sell it? Or are you going to stay in it?
No, Fred, I don't offer them anything. I just say, what are your plans for the home? And then I'm quiet.
Okay. Do you leave messages, Kathy?
I do leave messages because I use Vulcan 7 and I have an automatic, and it's like, I think it says something about, I'm calling to see if you're still willing to accept any offers. If they call me back, they're still motivated. And if you are, sometimes they'll call me and say, here's my agent, or I'll get a call from the agent. And it's like, I don't care. You know, I'm just looking to see, are they motivated enough that they're still entertaining offers? If they don't call me, they're not looking at offers.
So calling to see if you're still entertaining offers.
Yeah, you're still accepting offers. If you are, please give me a call. Blah. And so then they'll say, well, do you have an offer for me? That's not what I said. I was just looking to see. And sometimes you get some negative kickback, but it's like, whatever.
Yeah, I get that.
Whatever.
That's part of the game. Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Good question. Go ahead. Denise's hand wasn't up.
So I'll go, Neil. Can you hear me?
Yes, can now.
Okay, so Kathy, first of all, thank you. One of the big things I got is, Neil, you say this all the time, is regards that if you're the richest and smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And Kathy talked about the power of hanging around with the right people, is that she used the analogy of do the 12-month business plan in 10 months. And then you're like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. Maybe I could do that. And now she's with someone who's like, I'm trying to do 10 months in 8 months. And when you're around the right people, that allows you to think bigger, look at things from a different perspective, and push yourself to do more. Otherwise, if, as you say, Neil, you're the richest and smartest person in the room, the complacency really sets in.
Yeah.
And you asked her earlier, what keeps you going? I mean, 32 years at high volume, and she's just like, well, I got to do more. There's more to do, but that probably only happens if you're around the right people that can push you, inspire you, and encourage you. So that was one of my big takeaways, is make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people.
And Robert, I'll tell you, I had a New Year's Eve dinner and had 18 of my friends there, and they're all the same, about the same age as I am, and they're all talking about retiring, and they're like, "When are you going to retire?" I'm like, "I got a 4-year plan. I'm staying in because I still have things I want to accomplish." As Wayne Dyer would say, "Don't die with your music still inside of you." I still have things that I want to attain and accomplish. One of my girlfriends and I decided we're going to go to our 90-year class reunion. And if our
I'm gonna
friends,
go with you.
and if I'll take you. And if our friends don't want to show up, then we're going to talk about them. So, I retire at 70. What am I going to do for 30 years? Come on. There's still things that I want to do. There's still things that I want to accomplish. And you guys can help me out with this when I see you, to just say, how's that? I want to buy a property in Jackson Hole. It's $3 million. Okay. A vacation home for $3 million, which is a lot of money for the Midwest Nebraska girl. But yet, I still hang out with people that say, what's it going to take? What are you going to do? How are you going to accomplish it? You got to go out there once a year to get re-energized, refocused. My coach, Maverick, said, because I asked him, how do you stay connected to those really far out there goals? And he said, well, he lived in California. They wanted to move to Hawaii, which they lived at now. And so he listened to Hawaiian music a lot. So I started watching Yellowstone because that entices me to, and Neil, I don't know, I was recently reelected to my city council, and my mayor calls me Beth. So sometimes that comes out every once in a while.
Oh, you're the one.
But you got to do what you have to do to keep yourself re-inspired to do the things that are necessary. And so, the conversation I had with the person that said, this is a small fire burning. Come on, Beth. Do you want to own a property in Jackson Hole or not? Come on, Beth. What's the problem here? Come on, Beth. Go show them who can handle it. And you just got to surround yourself with those kind of people, because one of my girlfriend's husbands, I said, I'm going to buy a property in Jackson Hole. And he said, what bank are you robbing? And I thought, you will never hear my dreams again, because I am not going to deal with you. I will surround myself with people that are like, yes, you can do this. You can do this.
I love it, Kathy. Hang out with me. We're going.
Beth,
Okay.
I love your affirmations that support your goals, and thank you so much for being here. I had a question. I know you ran a marathon. I'm having difficulty. I'm 72. And
Donna, she did a triathlon.
Oh, triathlon. Sorry.
Big difference.
Thank you.
I have trouble with my exercise program every day. I try to get up at 5 and exercise. What do you do for exercise during the day?
One of the things I did was when COVID started, I was working with a personal trainer twice a week. I knew I needed that accountability. I upped it to 3 times a week because I needed this. This needed to stay strong during that process because we really got isolated and it was a whole big thing. So I trained with a trainer 3 days a week. And then he would say, okay, we're training Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Monday, are you going swimming? And I'll be like, no. Okay, maybe, sort of, kind of. Yeah, okay. And then you just incorporated it into making it into your schedule because I had an end date. Because I went to him and said, I think I want to do a sprint triathlon. And he didn't hear the word I think. He heard, I want to do it. I want to do a triathlon. And so, he kept pushing me. And then my coach, Maverick, he said, you got to tell everybody. I said, I don't want to tell anybody. He said, you've got to tell everybody because it's going to hold you accountable. I said, yeah, but I get what the hell you want to do that for? And I said, how do I answer that? And he says, well, you say to them, and how you can support me is to ask me, how's your training coming? And I will tell you, of all the people I told, I probably had 3 outside the Mike Ferry group that said to me, how's your training coming? And so that just tells you the amount of people that support you. So for me, Donna, it was accountability. I mean, the best of the best, and Neil, you know this, they put accountability into place, and it is strong accountability. And, like the best are having someone to say, you want to be at the gym at 5 o'clock? It's $100 for every day you don't go to the gym. And you have to take a picture of the clock at the gym showing me that you were there at 5 o'clock. If you truly want to do this, you put this strong accountability. And I go into accountability at times kicking and screaming, but I know it's the best thing for me.
Great, thank you.
That's great.
Couldn't you
Yeah.
just use the same picture over and over again, Kathy?
It has a date and time on it, Fred.
Nice try, Fred. Nice try.
Good work, good work. Okay, what else did we learn today? What else did we learn? Need to wrap it up here. Who's? Well, I want to.
Well, what did you learn, Neil? What was your takeaway?
Thank you. Thank you for asking. So for me, from the very minute that Kathy came on, and this is really what prompted me to even talk to her about this a few weeks ago when we were at the event, is the confident way that she communicated, that she sat in the chair. There was a confidence about her. And I don't know if you can teach that. You can let people know, and this is part of this. You can identify it, and people can look at it and say, oh, that's what that looks like. That's what that feels like. That's what that sounds like. So that's just the way you've come and you've polished it. And boy, when you relate to Yellowstone and you become Beth, I mean, that's Beth without a foul mouth.
Well, every once in a while it slips out, but not during a business type of opportunity.
Now, this is great. And sometimes I can't explain it to people. I don't know the words, but I can show a picture, or I can say, and I'll refer to this in the future, this video in the future, when I'm trying to explain confident communication. You're it. So thank you. Thanks for the question, Rob.
Last question, Kathy.
Why
Thursday off versus Saturday?
Okay, hold on, Fred. I want to go back to Neil's, and yesterday when I had that conversation with the person, they said that, the confident communication. I'm like, really? Okay. Because sometimes you don't know about yourself because we become our own worst critic, So anyway, Fred, so you asked why Thursday and not Saturday? Because I like to work Saturday mornings to find those people I couldn't find during the week. And I can put in,
Okay.
I can
So
put
it's
in
a phone call thing.
Yeah, it's a phone call and an appointment because there's sometimes people can't meet with me. And so, I might be done by 2 o'clock, but it's another day. Part of it is it's what Mike shared with us, that's how he worked. And I thought, if that works for him. The other thing, Fred, is I can work hard for 3 days and then I have a day of, okay. And I can schedule, those appointments that I can't get done on Saturday, personal appointments, doctors, dentists, all that type of stuff, car repair, all that type of stuff. And then I don't mind working on Saturdays. I really don't. Saturday mornings, get in, get your phone calls made. You feel like $1 million and you're done.
Well, thank you. Great session.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay, let's go one more time. Congratulate, thank
Thank
yourself.
you.